Social compact is a buzzword you'll hear a lot tonight, likely peppered throughout President Cyril Ramaphosa's speech. It's a cornerstone of the president's approach to resolving the country's myriad problems. Ramaphosa believes consensus between government, labor, business and civil society can yield solutions to problems such as job creation, gender-based violence and the energy insecurity that our country faces. But how realistic is this idea of social compacting, and are the so-called social partners as close to these agreements as the president would have us believe? Joining me now is the chairperson of the Business for South Africa's steering committee, Martin Kingston, to talk a bit about that. So, Martin, let's get straight into it then. The president likes to talk about social compacting, and basically in his report last year around the economic reconstruction and recovery plan, he mentioned that there had been some progress in as far as a broad consensus among the social partners in NEDLAC are concerned. But you will have seen the critique from the Thabo Mbeki Foundation suggests that perhaps you guys are not as close as the president would have us believe in NEDLAC. What's the story there?
There's very considerable work taking place in NEDLAC amongst and between the social partners. In fact, we've been focusing on a subset of that, which is the Economic Recovery Action Plan. We can't cover the entire waterfront. We've got to harness all of the resources that are at our collective disposal, all of the social partners, and we need to focus on a limited number of interventions, and then we've got to implement them in particular, but not only a structural reform. We've agreed on that. Of which energy is absolutely critical, the need to build an inclusive economy based upon a competitive landscape, which currently we don't have, and we need to do so with urgency. That urgency, of course, is magnified by the pandemic which we're currently confronted by, and which we're going to have to deal with for certainly the short and maybe even the medium term.
So given what you've painted, the picture you've painted in as far as the work that has gone on among the social partners within NEDLAC, what do you expect the president to say on these issues around social compacting, for instance, on issues of energy and the fulfillment of some of the promises around easing, improving the ease of doing business in South Africa? For instance, on energy, where's the excess capacity that we were told was going to come into stream?
Well, the only way we're going to create excess capacity, of course, is by harnessing the commitment of the private sector to introduce new generation. We can do that with the fifth window, as we know. We can do that with embedded generation. We've been very clear about that. Both of those are provided for. But as I said before, we need to move from discussing these propositions through to implementation. And with implementation goes defined responsibility and accountability for each and every one of the partners. If we don't solve energy, then our economy is absolutely incapable of achieving its potential, along with many of the other areas that you've touched on, including the need to have a competitive economy where we can mobilize capital, both domestically and internationally, in support of long-term investment in South Africa, which will drive not only inclusive growth, but sustainable jobs.
Yeah, thank you for your insights there, Martin Kingston, who is the chairperson there at the Business for South Africa, the steering committee he chairs there in that organization.